Well, hey everybody. Welcome to Playing and Singing Our Favorites. I want to thank Betty Fulton for requesting a song today. Betty, because I have had the best time going back to read the story of the song you requested, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And it reminded me that many of the hymns we've sung through the years, have been born out of pain and sorrow and heartache and suffering and loss and death. And so was this song. And I want to share the story before we sing it because I think it will give all of us a new appreciation for it. It was written by a man named Joseph Scriven back in 1819 in Ireland. He grew up to be a fine young man. He graduated from college and began a teaching career. And about a year later, he asked his childhood sweetheart to marry him. And she said yes. Well, the day before the wedding, she was riding over a river bridge on her horse when she fell from the horse and fell into the river waters below and drowned, while he watched on from the other side helplessly. I just can't imagine the horror of that. Well, needless to say, heartbroken and grief-stricken, he decided that he would leave Ireland and he would go to Canada and start a new life. And in that place in Canada where he settled, the people quickly just fell in love with him. He began to preach, he taught, and he was just a wonderful neighbor and friend to everybody. And while he was there, he met and fell in love with another wonderful young lady. And he asked her to marry him, and she said yes. And tragedy struck once again. And just a few weeks before they were to be married, she got sick and died. And so there was Joseph once again shattered, brokenhearted. And once again, he turns to the anchor he's always known, and that was his faith, and to the nearness of God, whom he called his dearest and closest friend. Well, in that time, not only did he find God's comfort, but he found a new mission. And it was a mission that drastically changed his life because he decided that he would sell all of his earthly possessions so that he could commit his life to taking care of the sick, the poor and the sick. And he did that. And about 10 years later, he got word that his mother was sick in Ireland and unable financially to make that trip to Ireland. He was just heartbroken. He just had a deep longing in his heart to let her know that he loved her and that he was missing her. And he sat down and he wrote the lines to a poem, the poem that has become the song that we're going to sing today. And one day there was a friend visiting and noticed a crumpled piece of paper on a table. And he opened up that piece of paper and he saw some scribbling, and he made out the beautiful lines to the poem. And he asked Joseph, who wrote this beautiful poem? And Joseph answered and said, the Lord and I together wrote the poem. Well, about 2 years later, it was set to music and published. And then it was 20 years when Dwight L. Moody ran across that song, and he thought it was the most touching song that he had ever known. And so it was Dwight L. Moody who gave a national recognition to Joseph Scriven's song. Well, in the last years of his life, Joseph Scriven suffered poor health and deep depression. And ironically, in the same way that his childhood sweetheart had drowned in the waters of the river, he also drowned in a lake in Canada, never seeing his song carried all around the world. But here it is, a century and a half later. You and I are still singing it. And every time we sing it, I think it reminds us that life is not an easy journey. sometimes life can get so hard we feel like it's going to squeeze the very life out of us. And but we always, like Joseph, remember that we have a friend who walks with us, comforts us, pours out his grace and mercy upon us, and sustains us in whatever it is we're going through. And we know that his name is Jesus, and what a friend we have in Jesus. And so I want us to sing it together this afternoon, and I hope that the words mean even more knowing the story and the circumstances in which it was written. What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear, and what a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. And oh, what peace we often forfeit, and oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Well, Betty, I hope you've enjoyed that song today. I hope all of us have enjoyed it. And until next time, I'll just say God bless, and let's keep a singing, because Jesus is the song in our hearts.